Every lake has a legend. Every body of water has something it hides. And sometimes what it hides isn't just a shadow or a trick of light. Sometimes it moves. Tonight, we're venturing deep beneath the surface of two of America's eeriest lakes, both home to serpentine shapes and stories that have haunted generations. From the fog-covered waters of Lake Champlain, where fishermen whisper about a prehistoric predator named Champ, to the brackish tides of the Chesapeake Bay, where sailors still see something long and dark slithering through the moonlit waves, known simply as Chessie. Two monsters, two regions, two mysteries, and maybe one origin. Welcome back, creeps. I'm your host, Noelle, the weirdo Wisconsinite of Creepy Confidential. I open case files on cryptids, cults, conspiracies, and other worldly creepy. I suggest you grab a cup of your favorite creepy curated quencher and join me on today's journey into the strange and obscure. I call this episode Chessie and Champ, the monsters beneath. Lake Champlain lies cradled between the Adirondack Mountains of New York and the Green Mountains of Vermont, 125 miles long, 14 miles wide in places, and plunging to depths of nearly 400 feet. It's one of the oldest freshwater bodies in North America, once part of the ancient inland sea called the Champlain Sea, formed when glaciers retreated 10,000 years ago. And some say something from that sea never left. Now, the legend of Champ dates back centuries, long before French settlers ever arrived. The Abenaki people native to the region told stories of a great horned serpent named Tatotskak. Probably say that right, but I'm trying, who lived in the depths and guarded those waters. It was said that anyone who polluted or desecrated the lake would be pulled under by its coils. When European settlers came, the stories didn't stop. They kind of changed form. In 1609, French explorer Samuel de Champlain himself recorded an encounter with a, quote, monstrous fish in the lake, something over 20 feet long with a head like a horse and a silver gray scaled kind of body, so tough, quote, so tough that a dagger could not pierce them. Now, historians do debate that entry, though. Many believe he was describing a garpike or maybe a sturgeon, which, of course, if you remember, that was one of the episodes that I covered back here in the very beginning, was the Lake Winnebago monster, and they think that was actually a huge, ginormous sturgeon. So, I mean, these fish, they're dinosaurs, so it kind of makes sense. But back to this one, the locals who've seen it with their own eyes say that no fish could look like that. So they're kind of directly saying that that's not a thing. Now, by the late 1800s, Lake Champlain had become a busy trade route, filled with steamboats, ferries, and fishermen. And along that growing population came a flood of reports. In 1873, the New York Times published an article describing a railroad crew who saw a creature, quote, with a head resembling a horse and a body some 30 feet long. They described it thrashing near Port Henry, New York. And then a few weeks later, a steamboat captain named Captain Crumb, love that name, reported a similar creature near the Bulwaga Bay, quote, a serpentine body over 187 feet long. He claimed with a silver sheen and eyes like peeled onions. It is a very interesting description, because that means that it wouldn't have any sort of like pupil or anything like that. It's kind of weird. So now that's a kind of a tall tale if I've ever heard one, though. But it sparked something. And soon Champ fever swept through the Champlain Valley. Now, fishermen swore they'd seen humps rolling along the water like a submerged train, and tourists lined the shores with binoculars. Newspapers ran sketches of serpents and even offered cash rewards for proof. But the lake kept her secrets, and no rewards were given. Then, nearly a century later, came the moment that would make Champ a household name. In the summer of 1977, Sandra Mancy and her family were exploring the Vermont side of the lake near St. Albans Bay. The day was warm, the water was calm. Sandra's kids were playing by the shoreline when she saw it, something enormous rising from the water about 150 feet offshore. At first, she thought it was a log, but then it moved. A long neck arched upward, smooth and dark, attached to a humped back that rolled just beneath the surface. And Sandra grabbed her Kodak camera and took a single photograph before the creature slid silently beneath the surface. That image, grainy of course, eerie, almost too perfect, became known as simply as the Mancy photo. It shows a creature uncannily similar to the Loch Ness Monster. Long neck, dark silhouette, kind of that wake spreading in the water. Skeptics called it a hoax. She said it. Some people just said it was driftwood, but experts who analyzed the photo's lighting, the water depth, and Sandra's story agreed. It's unlikely to have been faked. Now, in the 1980s, scientists decided to listen for Champ, literally. The Fauna Communications Research Institute placed underwater microphones throughout the lake, and what they recorded kind of sent shivers down even the most skeptical spines. They were distinct, rhythmic, echolocation clicks, much like those of dolphins or whales, except there are no whales in Lake Champlain. The recordings were analyzed and confirmed to be from an unidentified aquatic source. When in doubt, right? Call it just an unidentified aquatic source. So whatever's down there, it's alive. It's making noise. But now we head south to Chesapeake Bay, the largest estuary in the United States. The bay stretches over 200 miles from Maryland to Virginia, with waters so deep and murky you can't see more than a few feet beneath the surface. It's home to stingrays, crabs, dolphins, and over 300 fish species, and something else. They call her Chessie. The first modern reports of Chessie appeared in the 1930s when fishermen near Love Point, Maryland, claimed they saw a long, dark creature with 30 feet or about 30 feet long moving through the bay's currents. During the 1960s and 70s, sightings became more frequent, often near Sandy Point, Kent Island, and the mouth of the Potomac River. Witnesses describe Chessie as a serpentine creature, dark brown or black with an undulating motion, quote, like a snake swimming through the grass. Okay. In 1978, a military helicopter pilot patrolling over the bay near Baltimore reported seeing a massive creature about 40 feet long just below the surface. The pilot circled twice, but the thing was gone. Then came the sighting that turned Chessie from rumor to reality. In 1982, two residents of Kent Island, Robert and Karen Frew, captured what's still considered the best known footage of the Chesapeake creature. They were standing on their backyard pier when they noticed a long, dark shape moving through the water about 200 feet away. Robert grabbed his home video camera and hit record. The footage shows a sinuous black form gliding smoothly beneath the surface, too flexible for a boat, too consistent for debris. It moves with purpose, very much like how an animal would move. The Smithsonian Institution reviewed the tape, and their conclusion, unidentified. They just didn't know what it was. That same summer, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service received multiple reports of, quote, large undulating shapes near the mouth of the Potomac River. Some even speculated that Chessie was a lost manatee of some kind, and for a brief moment, a manatee was sighted and rescued in 1994, but it didn't explain the decades of sightings nor the creature seen in freezing winter waters when manatees absolutely could not survive. So what are we really seeing? What is everybody seeing? Some believe Chessie and Champ are relic species, descendants of the plesiosaur, a long-necked marine reptile from the Mesozoic era. Others suggest they could be giant eels, a species of unknown origin, or perhaps even a mutation caused by pollution and runoff from centuries of industry. Now, this one I thought was interesting when I found this piece of information because, being the Wisconsinite, the Fox River has had a lot of companies, big paper companies and other companies, put their, before it was illegal, their kind of discharge sewage, what have you, pollution into the river. And there has been these poor creatures, fish that are caught that have extra fins, extra eyeballs, malformations on their body. So when I came across this piece of information, I immediately thought of the Fox River, which is one of those rivers you do not swim in, and you don't eat anything that you catch at all from that. So I believed that part. So, and then back to this, and then there's the folklore. You have native stories from both regions describe these massive water spirits, protectors of nature who punish the greedy or the careless. And that I also resonated with because, once again, the Winnebago monster, water monster, also has native ties, where back in the day was another one of those same types of creatures. So I found interesting, and just kind of the similar, I don't want to say similar part, but it's cold. You have to be able to survive it, so it can't be some crazy exotic creature that got out. Just found that interesting. Now, the Algonquin people of the Chesapeake told of Piasu, the river dragon who haunted the waters and devoured men. Now, the Iroquois spoke of the Oniar, a serpent that pulled people from their canoes and dragged them beneath the surface from disrespecting the water. By the way, if anybody out there is listening to me pronounce these words that are from native points, please let me know. It's really hard to find exact pronunciations of these words, so I would love to know that. I'm just putting that out there. But anyway, back to the story. So it's as if every culture, surrounding these lakes sensed something sacred and something dangerous at the same time. Now, sightings of both creatures continue even now. In 2005, a group of kayakers near Burlington, Vermont, reported seeing a dark, hump-shaped moving towards them, and one described them as, quote, like a rolling log but breathing. When it passed beneath their boats, the water vibrated. And in 2010, a Maryland crabber working near the mouth of one of the rivers saw that he described something that he described, quote, a long, shiny eel-like body thicker than a man's torso with ridges like the spine of a crocodile. And then in 2022, I found another one. Drone footage over Lake Champlain captured something massive. A dark form, once again, gliding under the thin spring ice, like when it starts to kind of melt off. Visible for only a few seconds, like 3 seconds before disappearing into the open water. Now, the pilot said he wasn't even filming the lake. He was testing his equipment. So when he reviewed the footage later, the shape was just there. So he didn't really even know that he wasn't out looking for it. Now, both sightings these sightings were separated by nearly 500 miles, but describing the exact same thing. The Chesapeake Bay connects to the Atlantic Ocean, and the Atlantic connects to the St. Lawrence River, which connects directly to Lake Champlain. If you follow the waterways, it's theoretically possible, though unlikely, that whatever lies in one could travel to the other. Maybe Chessie and Champ aren't two creatures at all. Maybe they're one. An ancient migratory species following the same forgotten routes it has for thousands of years. Or maybe they're not animals at all. Maybe they're something older, something that doesn't need to breathe air or obey biology. Maybe they're the reason some lakes never give up their dead. The lake is calm tonight, but the calm is deceptive. For centuries, people have watched these waters, seen humps rise, waves move with no wind, wakes ripple when nothing's there. The skeptics will tell you it's just logs, or light, or imagination. But the truth is simpler. The truth is, we've explored the surface of the moon more than we've explored our own lakes. So next time you're near the water at dusk, when the mist starts to crawl over the shoreline, take a long look at the ripples, because something might just be watching you back. And if you hear the soft splash of something moving in the dark, row faster. And maybe keep your feet out of the water. Thanks for joining me for today's episode, Chessie and Champ, the Monsters Beneath. Please take a moment to leave a review and give us a follow. We don't want you to miss out on any episodes. Also, feel free to check out our Patreon. You'll find exclusive episodes, exclusive content with each level, and we don't want you, again, to miss out on anything. For more creepy content, visit creepyconfidential.com. Stay creepy, my friends, and I'll see you next time right here on Creepy Confidential.